Okay, so I'm going to be showing a couple different ways to do a gel fade with the white French. So I'm going to be using the Snow White and Transparent Pink and the All-Purpose Crystal for one of them. So the one thing you want to do is if you are going to sculpt your white on, and you want it to be like doing a sculpted white French with a thicker white, you're going to use this sort of a semi-transparent gel. So if this was a natural nail, you would have put your base coat on, I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. And you still want to work fairly thin. I'm going to grab some of the white. And put that on the free edge. So you want to try not to overwork it too much at the beginning. Just try to get it on. And then we're going to sort of fade it up into the pink gel. So just kind of going back and forth. And you want to be fairly gentle with this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use a short detail brush to try to blend the two. So I'm going to go in circles up and circles down, circles up and circles down, or clockwise, counterclockwise. And then do that on the next level. Now doing it this way, you can see, can take a bit of time. And it's not always going to give you the perfect gradient, depending on your gel. If you have a really nice milky white gel like this one, it's pretty good. But if you have a bright white gel, this won't work as well for you. So I'm going to cure that in a UV light. So now I'm going to do a second coat. And they're very thin, you can see the application is really thin. So you still want to do thin coats. Now I'm going to add my white. And now my detail brush. I'm going to blend them back and forth. And then in circles, whatever works for you for the blending. Okay, now I'm going to cure that also. So now I'm going to use my crystal clear gel and encapsulate the nail. Now I'm going to completely cure that one. So now that it's cured, I removed the inhibition layer and just filed my sides and the bottom. So I'm going to actually just finish file this and then top coat it. I just wanted to show you that even with those two applications, plus the top, it's still quite thin. Okay, so I'm just going to file this now. Okay, so I've filed it and buffed it now. So you can kind of see the gradient. Now I'm just going to put my top coat on. And then I'll cure that. But you can see that doing it this way, oh, I just touched the nail. Doing it this way, you can still see a little bit of where my brush was. And you could remedy that by actually using more of a white that has some, or sorry, a pink that has a little bit of like a whiter tint to it, more like a creamier pink. So because this one is quite transparent. But if this was on a natural nail, it would look more semi-transparent. So I'm just going to go ahead and cure that, and then I'll do the next one. Okay, for this next one, it's actually going to be a lot easier. So I'm still going to use the Snow White, the creamy white gel, and this Evoke Rose Tan. And I have it in a smaller pot right now. It looks like this. So this one I'm going to use because it has that, it's a creamier gel, and so you'll get to see the difference as well as the easier technique to do a gel fade. So I'm going to start off with a thin coat of the nude gel, the Rose Tan. And this would be in place of your base coat if you use base coats with your gel system. If you don't, you can just go right into using your white gel. And I'm just going to flash cure that really quickly. Okay, and now I'm going to go in and use my white gel. And the difference with this one is that you're going to use it similar to a paint on white. And then I'm going to use a fan brush to blend it towards the cuticle. And just really gently. You want to make contact with the gel and then gradually increase your pressure upwards. So it kind of looks like that. And then flash cure that. And now we're going to layer the nude gel, the Rose Tan gel, over top. So you're going to actually go over the white, and I brought that down almost 3/4 of the way. So the white I went over halfway this way, and the nude I'm blending over the white over halfway this way. And now I'll flash cure that. Now we're going to go back and layer the white. Now because we're doing it sort of paint on style, it goes really fast and you can do all 5 nails at once, which works really well. Going with my fan brush. And then flash cure. And then we're going to use the rose tan gel again and paint that down. You can see that the color fade actually looks a lot nicer doing it this way. So you can do it 2 or 3 times depending on how you like your ombre to look. I'm going to do it 1 more time. After this I'm going to fade it, do another white and 1 more rose tan. Because we're painting it on, it's like adding nail art. It's in layers. So I'm going to go back in with my white. I'm going to use a little less this time. Just keep it more concentrated on the bottom. With free edge, however you like to say it. And now I'm going to fade up a bit. And then flash cure that. And one thing I will recommend if you are going to use a fan brush is to make sure that the bristles are kind of uneven. So you'll have to spend a little bit more money for a good quality brush because the bristles will be made to do nice strokes and fade really nicely. Whereas other ones, they're completely straight. And so it would give you the same effect pretty much as using a square brush or a round brush. You would still have that defined edge that can interfere with your fade. But these are really good for using glitters and stuff like that. So you can see the 2 that I use for mostly glitters and stuff that have the lines that are cut perfectly straight. And then the one I like to use for fading has different levels of bristles. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with my rose tan gel 1 more time. So if you're doing this on a full set, this whole process would take you essentially less time or equal to doing an actual French and wiping out all the smile lines. So it takes longer in demonstration than it does to actually do it on a live customer. And I just want to wipe off the edge there. And I'm going to use my fan brush a little bit at the bottom here just to make sure that the gradient is nice. And I'm going to flash cure that, and then I'm going to encapsulate it with clear gel. Just a little tip that I will give you: if you do happen to have a brush that you use for glitters and you like to keep it dry, and then you end up using it in gel and then you have to clean the gel out of it, you know, a lot of people will use the alcohol and the wipe, which I'll do. So use the alcohol and the wipe. And so you get all the gel out, but when your brush dries, it's not really ever going to be the same again. Even if you try to fan out those bristles. They always kind of stick together a little bit and they don't quite go back to as nice of a bristle as they used to be. So actually what I found is that if I use my canned air and I just spray it dry, my brush is dry and good as new. And then it also helps too because it evaporates the alcohol really quickly, so it doesn't dehydrate your brush too much. So that's how I go sort of back and forth sometimes in an emergency, because I do have ones that I use more for gel, ones that I use for glitter, ones that I use for you know, just dry purposes. But if I happen to want a specific one and I only have one and I happen to put gel in it, then I'll do that to put it back to normal. Okay, so now I'm going to take my clear gel and encapsulate the nail. So now I'm going to cure that, and then I'll file and buff it, and then I'll come back to the top coat. Okay, so I have filed and buffed the nail, and now I'm just going to put the top coat on. And you can see, using a slightly tinted gel for your cover color, so that it has a little bit of a white in the base. Makes it look that much better and very well blended. I'm actually going to use a cute little pen here to poke some gel into that bubble. This was actually made for me by one of my students, so thank you, Robin. I really appreciate that. That helps out a lot sometimes when I get those little bubbles. Just makes them disappear beautifully. Okay, so now I'm just going to cure that, and then it will be done. Okay, so now you can kind of see, this one I didn't do a demo on because you're not going to want to do it that way. So if you sculpt with a brighter white, what ends up happening if you just do a simple, like just fade the one layer and it's a fairly high pigment, you get this line of color, and it always is kind of uneven because you've been trying to blend your whites. And so that's usually what people don't like about when they're trying to do a gel fade, is that it's always kind of inconsistent when they fade to the bottom. So you always want to encapsulate it. You can see, oh, there you go, you can see it a lot better. So because the white is thicker here and then fades down, then when this color comes over top and then you try to file it, by the time you get it straight and nice and smooth, you've revealed some of the white and the connection point between the two gels. So this way was with the sculpting, but the longer process of trying to blend the two gels together. So that does work, but doesn't give you the optimal results, and takes a little bit, well, it takes a lot of time to do that amount of work on a set of nails, and that's probably why a lot of people don't like doing these when their customers show them pictures of polish or acrylic ombres with white French. So you want to still be able to make money and make your customers happy at the same time, so this is probably not the best option for you. So this is an example of the fading, doing it in a nail art sort of way with thinner applications and layering them on top of each other and then encapsulating them in clear gel. So that takes the least amount of time and looks the best. So kind of a no-brainer. Okay, so if you do have any other questions about any gels or any of my favorite products when I do this kind of thing. Or if you have any other nails that you would like to see me do, any requests or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And if you like this, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please like the video, subscribe to my channel. You can share my videos. I'd really appreciate that as well. Thanks very much. Have a great day, guys.